I'm Shannon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be talking about hair damage. Why is your hair damaged? How you can prevent hair damage. None of us want damaged hair, but we all live in the day and age where we heat style, we all color our hair, we all love messy buns and high ponies and everything like that. And so I'm going to share some tips and tricks with you that I have just to avoid damage. So there's two kinds of damage that can happen to your hair. One is chemical and one is mechanical. So chemical damage covers everything like color, lightening services, perms and relaxers. I know not a bunch of people are doing those anymore, but they are coming back in style, and so it is important to know like that they can damage your hair. And then water too. Water can play a huge part in the health of your hair. Hard water is a big player in like hair damage. So anytime that you color your hair or get a chemical service done, what happens is the cuticle on your hair opens up. So everybody's hair has a cuticle layer. It's the outermost layer on the hair. And basically what it does is it acts like shingles on a roof or like scales on a snake. So what it does is it lays flat, just like shingles would, and it basically keeps all the bad stuff out and all the good stuff in your hair. And so what happens when we get a lightening service or a color service is that cuticle will open up a little bit off of the hair shaft. And so when you open up that cuticle, it will only ever close 60% of what it previously was. So say you come in and you have virgin hair, so your cuticle is all the way shut. That's what's making the hair shiny. That's what's making it smooth and easy to brush through. And so when you get a lightening service or a color service done, it opens up the cuticle, and then when the hair service is over, it closes again. But it will only close 60%, so it's going to be open a little bit no matter what you do. That is always going to be the nature of your hair from that point on, unless you like cut it off. But anything that's been colored will always only shut 60% of what it was. Let's say you decide, I want to be blonder. Okay, so you go back in, you open up the cuticle again, and then it will only close 60% of that. Let's say you want to be dark. So you go get permanent color done, and that opens up the cuticle and then shuts it. So now you've had 3 color services and your cuticle is blown open. That's what's going to make your hair texture change. So your hair is going to get drier, it's going to get rougher because there's nothing that's shut and making it shiny and smooth and soft anymore. So when that cuticle gets blown open, that's when it's like, it almost will feel like, you know, if you look at it under a microscope, it'll look like all of those, like the shingles on the roof or the scales on the snake will get pushed backwards. So it's going to feel rough. It's basically like petting a snake, like tail to head. So it just like doesn't feel good. It loses its shine, it loses its softness. So anytime that you're getting a chemical service, we just need to remember that we can't overprocess the hair, because when that cuticle goes away, that's when like your hair will just like start breaking, feel overprocessed, and just start, just not feeling so good anymore. Water can also be a huge factor in whether or not your hair is damaged, because hard water actually has really negative effects on the hair over time. Hard water is usually a culprit for hair getting brassy. If you feel like you're leaving the salon and you're super, super blonde, and then you go back in and you just feel dull and you almost feel darker, that's usually hard water. So hard water basically carries minerals, and those minerals sit on the hair and they coat the hair and they change and they oxidize, making your hair a different color, a different texture, a different feel. So what you can do to avoid damage from hard water is you can get a water softener or a water filter, and that will cause the water to just not be as hard, and it'll filter out some of those minerals, and it will have a positive effect on your hair. So now I want to go over mechanical damage, which is what we do every day. What you're doing at home 365 days a year can play a big part in whether or not your hair is damaged as well. So mechanical damage is, can you hear that? Yeah. I'm just going to go through it. I don't think anybody will really care. Okay.
Or you just wait like a minute.
Yeah, okay. 365 days out of the year, you touch your hair. So whether you're brushing too hard or using too much heat on your hair or putting it in styles that are damaging to your hair, that can be a huge factor in what your hair feels like. We all heat style our hair. The main thing to remember is that your hair does not need as much heat as you think it does. So I like to use an iron that has an actual temperature setting on it instead of just a dial that's like 1 to 50, because I really only ever use my iron at 320 or 360. You don't really need to go any higher than that. 99% of people don't need the iron as hot as it goes. With the dial ones, it's if you're turning it all the way up, which most people are because we just automatically turn it up to the highest setting, that is burning your hair. So the more you use hot tools, the more you use heat, that will damage your hair over time. And so it is important to use a heat protectant because that shields your hair from that heat. It keeps that cuticle nice and locked down and smooth and basically puts a layer over it. That way your iron is going onto the heat protectant, not directly onto your hair. This is the iron that I like to use. This is the Bioionic Pro Long Barrel iron, and this is a 1 1/4, but I like that it has the temperature settings right here instead of just a dial that you can crank all the way up. So I will only ever use it at 320 or 360. I never go above 360, not even for any of my clients, and it does just fine. This is an iron that I would probably not recommend to someone who feels like they are getting damage in their hair, because irons like this just has a dial that goes from 1 to 50. And so the problem is that when you crank it all the way up to 50, you don't know how hot that is. Basically at a 0, right, it's 500 degrees. If not that, then it's close to it. And you just don't need that much heat on your hair. That's causing a lot of unnecessary damage. So if you do have an iron like this with a dial, turn it down to like 35 and see if that's okay for you, because that's probably somewhere around 300 to 350 degrees. And you really don't need anything more than that. If it's hot enough to bake cookies, don't use it on your hair. Another form of mechanical damage is actually your brushing. So when you are brushing your hair, if you have tangles and you're yanking through them, that's just gonna break your hair. It's gonna give you split ends, or it's just gonna break the hair off at wherever the tangles are. The way you should be brushing your hair is you should be holding it in like a pony, and you shouldn't do all of your hair at once. You should maybe separate it in 2 halves, and you should start down at the bottom and get all the tangles out down here, and then move up a little bit and get them out from here, and then move up until you're brushing from the top to the bottom. But you shouldn't start up here first, otherwise you're catching all those tangles, and tangles on each other just create friction, and that's where you see a lot of damage. Another way to see damage from friction is by putting your hair in tight ponies or messy buns. I know we all love to put our hair up, but you have to be really careful, because when you wear your hair in a pony and you're tightening it and you're tightening it and tightening it, that's causing a lot of friction. I guarantee if you're one of the girls who likes to wear a super high tight pony, you probably have some bits around your front that are really, really broken and really short. And that's because of where that pony holder is sitting day after day. It's just causing a bunch of friction right there, and it will probably break your hair over time. It just makes the hair brittle and weak. And same with messy buns. When you like bunch all of your hair up and wrap a pony around it super tight, that's just causing a lot of friction in the hair as well. So stay away from doing the same styles over and over. If you're doing a high pony one day, let it down the next, or put it in a loose braid or something like that. Stay away from super, super tight styles that cause friction on your hair over time. I want to talk to you about split ends as well, because we oftentimes go into the salon for our trim or haircut appointments, and we just say, I don't want any length off, I just want the bare minimum, take like 1/4 of an inch. Well, that doesn't work if you have split ends, because the way a split end works is you have to cut off the entirety of what is split. Okay, so I have a piece of hair right here. So let's say that my split goes all the way up to here, but I only cut it to here. Everything above this point is still going to split because there's still a split end on there. So also, don't cut your hair with kitchen scissors. They're not sharp enough, and that actually will cause split ends. Each strand of hair is like a cord or a rope. It can unravel. That's what a split end is. And so if you're using kitchen scissors to cut your hair at home, it's just going to make it more frayed. You have to use something really, really sharp. Let's say this whole thing is a split end, but I only cut it to here. Then all of this still is going to be split. So really what I have to do is I have to go above the point of where it's split and then cut all that. That way it's like a nice, healthy, fresh hair. There's no fray on the end of it, and now it can't split. So that's why you need to cut your hair and trust your stylist. And if they tell you you need 3 inches, it's because you have 3 inches of split ends. So sometimes 1/4 of an inch isn't always like the best recipe, and it won't necessarily make your hair feel any better either. So now I'll go over some products with you, because I don't want to leave you hanging with no idea of what to use to make your hair feel better. So I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite products to help avoid and prevent and conceal damage a little bit better. So first is the Orbe Mystify Spray. This spray is amazing. It's a heat protectant. I use this every time I heat style. It's just a spray in, so you just spray it in and then brush it through really good, and then you can have at it with your curling iron. It's also reparative, the whole Gold Lust line, so anything in Orbe that has a black and white bottle like this is reparative. It's part of the Gold Lust line. It's specifically for damaged or compromised hair. The next thing is the Orbe Power Drops. So these are the drops for moisture. There's also anti-pollution and damage repair drops. These are really good for preventative measures against damage. Basically, this is just like a mixer. So you would just cocktail these drops with any other product. I'll usually put them in with like a blow dry cream or something, but they do make the hair really, really soft, really, really healthy. They're super, super concentrated, so they'll last you a while, and they just do a little bit extra for the hair than anything else on its own. Then we have the Split End Seal from Orbe. If you're looking for something to conceal and kind of just mask those split ends, this is it. I would use it every day. It's really good for preventing split ends as well. But if you do feel like you have split ends, this will definitely help your hair feel better. It's basically like glue for the hair. So it's not like Elmer's glue or anything like that, but basically what it does is it seals back up those ends. So this is really, really awesome. Then we have the Ultimate Reset Mask from Shuyamura. I love this mask. This is my favorite mask ever. I can't think of anything that makes the hair feel quite like this does. It makes your hair feel so supple and smooth and just like beautiful and shiny. Whether you have damaged hair or not, this is amazing. It just helps the hair feel like the best it can. And it is very, very good for repairing any damage and preventing damage as well. It is part of the Ultimate Reset line, which is super, super good for just any kind of compromised or over-processed hair. Last but not least, we have the Kerastase 8-Hour Magic Night Serum. This stuff is amazing. I put this in every night. I do 2 pumps from my ponytail down, and I'll brush it in and just get it all throughout my hair, and I'll wear my hair in a braid when I sleep, and when I wake up my hair feels amazing, and it is thanks to this. I will have people come back in after 8 weeks after using this, and I will say like, oh my gosh, your hair feels so good, what are you using? And it is always this, the 8-Hour Magic Night Serum. It is amazing. It adds so much shine, so much moisture, so much hydration back into the hair. It is really, really good at just making not soft hair soft again. And yeah, it's just really awesome. So that is my breakdown on damaged hair, how it happens, how to prevent it and avoid it. I hope that you learned something. I hope that this was informative for you, and I hope you don't feel alone if you are feeling like you're the only person in the world who has damaged hair. We all go through it. Get some of these products. You'll feel so much better. But leave a comment and subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this on how to just have amazing hair and how to feel amazing and confident with your hair. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Solid.